During my grandmother's eulogy, my uncle paused mid-sentence and said, "And we all know who made this mess worse." Every eye turned to me. Let me back up. I'm 28. My grandmother Dorothy raised me after my parents died when I was 6. Uncle Neil, her golden child, moved to California 20 years ago and called maybe twice a year. But when Dorothy got diagnosed with dementia at 76, suddenly he was very concerned about her finances. I'd been living with her for 3 years by then, working remote, cooking her meals, driving her to appointments. The home health aide came twice a week, but I was there every day, watching her forget my name, watching her ask where her son was, watching her cry because she couldn't remember why she was crying. Neil started calling monthly, then weekly, always the same questions. Is she spending a lot? What's happening with the house? Has she updated her will? I told him she was fine, the bills were paid, and maybe he should actually visit. He came once, stayed 2 hours, took photos with her for Facebook, left. 6 months ago, Dorothy's bank called. Someone had been making large withdrawals. $3,000 here, $5,000 there, always just under the fraud alert threshold, always from her savings account, the one only she and Neil had access to because she'd added him years ago, back when she trusted him to handle things if something happened. I froze the account, got statements, found $47,000 gone over 18 months, confronted Neil over the phone. He said Dorothy had been giving him money for family emergencies, and if I had proof otherwise, I should talk to her lawyer. Except Dorothy barely remembered me anymore. She definitely didn't remember authorizing transfers. I could have reported him, could have filed charges, but Dorothy would have been devastated. Even with dementia, she still lit up when I mentioned his name. She'd ask when he was visiting. I'd lie and say soon. So I documented everything. Bank statements, call logs, emails where he asked about her liquid assets. I sent it all to Dorothy's lawyer and told him to handle it however he thought best. Then I focused on what mattered, making sure her last months were comfortable. She died 3 weeks ago, peaceful. I was holding her hand. Neil flew in for the funeral. Designer suit, practiced grief face. He gave this long eulogy about what an amazing mother she was, how much he cherished their bond, how he wished he'd had more time with her. People were crying. Then he got to the part about family responsibility. "And we all know who made this mess worse," he said, looking directly at me. "Taking advantage of a vulnerable woman, isolating her from her family." The room went silent. My aunt gasped. Neil continued, voice breaking. "I tried to help from California, but some people saw an opportunity. I just hope Dorothy knew at the end who really loved her." I didn't move, didn't speak, just sat there while people stared. The will reading was scheduled for the next day. Dorothy's lawyer had insisted everyone attend. Neil showed up in the same expensive suit, already talking about selling the house, splitting assets fairly. The lawyer opened the will. Dorothy's voice, recorded 6 months before she died, during one of her clearer days. She started with small bequests. Her jewelry to my aunt, her photo albums to her church. Then, to my son Neil, I leave $1 and a clear conscience, should he ever find one. Neil's face went white. She continued, "The remaining estate, including my home and all financial assets, goes to my grandson. He gave up his 20s to make sure I wasn't alone. He never asked for anything. He's the only family I needed." Then the lawyer pulled out the bank statements, showed everyone the withdrawals, explained how I'd frozen the account and recovered $12,000 before Neil could drain everything, mentioned the documented evidence of financial exploitation. Neil tried to argue, said the recording wasn't valid, that I'd manipulated her, that he'd contest everything. The lawyer handed him a folder. "This is what we'll file if you challenge the will. Elder abuse, fraud, theft. Your choice." Neil stood up, walked out. Nobody followed him. My aunt hugged me later. "She knew," she whispered. "Dorothy always knew who showed up." Neil hasn't contacted anyone since.